Heart of Darkness, by Joseph Conrad, is often considered a postcolonial novel, as it explores the impact of colonialism and the power dynamics between colonizers and the colonized. Let's know what is a postcolonial novel. What is a postcolonial novel? A postcolonial novel is a work of fiction that engages with the legacy of colonialism and shows its impact on societies, cultures, and individuals. These novels often explore the aftermath of colonial rule, the effects of colonization on the colonized people, and the complexities of cultural identity in a postcolonial context. Heart of Darkness as a postcolonial novel. Heart of Darkness is rich with examples that illustrate the effects of colonialism in Central Africa. The novel explores how colonialism not only involves the exploitation of colonized lands, but also the exploitation of those who partake in the colonial venture. The novel depicts the harsh exploitation of the African continent by European colonial powers. The ivory trade is a central element in this regard. It symbolizes the economic motives driving colonization in Africa. The European colonizers represent the colonial power and exploit the resources of Africa, including its people and ivory, for economic gain. The African people are dehumanized by the European colonizers. They are often referred to in derogatory terms, seen as mere tools for labor, and subjected to brutality. The dehumanization reinforces the power imbalance, as it becomes easier for the colonizers to justify their oppressive actions. Kurtz becomes a symbol of the corrupting influence of power in the colonial context. His actions highlight the moral decay that can occur when unchecked power is granted to the colonizers. He establishes himself as a powerful figure among the African natives. He maintains control over them by exploiting their superstitions and fears. This dehumanization reflects that Heart of Darkness is indeed a postcolonial novel. Cultural clash. Cultural clash is one of the prominent themes that prove Heart of Darkness a postcolonial novel. The novelist portrays the misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and conflicts that arise from the collision of two distinct cultures. The Europeans see Africa through a lens of ignorance and prejudice. They perceive it as a dark and mysterious continent. This misinterpretation deepens the cultural clash and contributes to the dehumanization of the African people. The scene where Kurtz is worshipped by the natives is a significant example of it. The Europeans exhibit a sense of cultural superiority and arrogance. They force them to believe that their customs and values are inherently superior to those of the African people. The Europeans impose their cultural norms without respecting the rich cultural heritage of the African societies. The concept of darkness in the novel serves as a metaphor for the cultural clash. It symbolizes the Europeans' ignorance and fear of the unknown. The darkness becomes a symbolic barrier that separates the two cultures. The darkness fosters a sense of alienation and mistrust. The use of manipulative language. Heart of Darkness, being a postcolonial novel, shows how language is used to manipulate perceptions of the African continent and its people. Marlowe uses language strategically to manipulate his listeners. He downplays the brutality and moral decay he witnesses in Africa. He presents a more sanitized version of events to his audience. This manipulation of language contributes to the theme of ambiguity. The symbolism attached to certain words, such as ivory, becomes a form of linguistic representation. Ivory represents wealth and power, but it becomes a symbol of the destructive impact of European colonialism. The African natives are portrayed as silent figures. This silence contributes to their dehumanization, as they are denied a voice and agency in the narrative. The absence of their perspectives in the storytelling reinforces the power dynamics in the representation of different cultures. The naming of places and characters in the novel reflects the power dynamics of language. The name Kurtz is associated with the word kuruka, meaning to go beyond in Swahili. The renaming of places by the European colonizers also demonstrates their authority to define and reshape the landscape according to their own perspectives. Conclusion. The novel, Heart of Darkness, is a poignant post-colonial narrative. It unravels the lasting effects of colonialism. The author exposes the harsh realities of European powers in Central Africa through the exploitation depicted in the ivory trade and the dehumanization of the African people.